two things, and then we'll cover the update on the market itself. So I think all of us were aware about the 70 somehow. I really don't know how. I missed 68 level. I typically don't miss P shape and the breakout levels, so that 68 level somehow I omitted. But I think I had a cumulative level here when I drew this FVP from the bottom to the top somewhere, and that's the level that I marked somewhere around 72.5. So maybe that's why I ignored it, because I took the cumulative. But there was a pretty level actually here on the weekly. That was the POC that I marked. I was sitting at 67.5. Even though, I was 2 points higher, right? At 70, that's close enough. But there was something really good, actually, educationally, you guys can see today that happened, right? If you guys were trading with me live today, you guys know that I took long at 68.5. And I want to show you guys why, right? I'm going to show this for a moment here, and then I'll let you guys take a look and see if you guys can analyze, let's say from, I'm going to go on, let's say 15 minutes. I'll go 15 minutes from the drop here where we start, right, around 2 o'clock. You see a massive drop here, and just go down and see what do you see in terms of data, right? And then let's go back and I'll help you guys if you're missing any points. Is anyone that want to take a stab? From here down, if you want to analyze it, that'd be great. Anyone?
Increasing red delta like a lot.
Okay. Just try to make a story out of it, right? Piece it all together. Okay. Anyone? Don't be shy.
At 115, like 130, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but you had some absorption going on there. You can see like the wicks as well, and the point of controls were at the top of those two 15-minute candles. And then from there they aggressively sold it off.
Okay. Well, what would that, why do you say P shapes here? Why is it important?
Well, not P shapes. I'm saying that the point of controls were towards the top of the candles, and just if without even looking at the footprints, just the wicks towards the top of the candles is showing you that sellers are present.
Okay. Are you talking about 145 or which candle?
No, like 130, 115, those two green candles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? What else do you see?
Some completed auctions at the bottom of those candles.
Okay. There's one that was complete, one failed, right?
There's an increase in selling volume for the daily.
Okay. What about in this sequence here? If you're looking, let me just zoom out. From this candle to this candle, there was some, absorption, right? So they did absorb here, but when you look at this candle here specifically, when you look at this candle here, right? What sticks out? Where's majority of this volume here?
At the bottom.
At the POC.
Here, let's see. I'm just gonna do volume so you guys can see it. Look where the volume is. Do you see this? It's definitely a lowercase b candle. And you see the aggressiveness in volume also picks up, and I'm showing you these deltas here. If you go under your step profile and you enable this and click delta, you can have the deltas right next to it. And you see that there's deltas here picking up, right? They tried, and once they lost this level here, there was really no coming back. And when you look at the volume here, the buying volume, what's happening to the buying volume as they're going up?
Decreasing. Well,
decreasing volume, right? And then you see, of course, the delta here started going down. Then they got to the top, and look at this drop on this candle here. Somebody really offloaded some, contracts here. And then they tried to push it up, and then look, again, same spot. There was a seller. Once they're able to breach this level, then you can pick up, there's pick up and selling. They had a little slowdown here on the lowercase b. The volume really dies down till about 2 o'clock or 2:45 for the most part. And then you see this massive, I would say, volume that comes in at this point around, almost 2 o'clock. A lot of selling happened here, right? And if I go back to the imbalance here, you will see where the concentration of sellers was, right? So you have a little cluster here, right? They came in here, but a lot of volume was particularly in this area around 84. If you guys were trading live, I did mention that 84 is a target. If we do break 71 and 25, if you guys recall, it was going to most likely run. That's where also our VWAP was at that time. And then, of course, they're able to kind of crack through that and run more. But focusing on this, how would you know as you're coming down here? There's a lot of selling still here, not as aggressive, right? They're kind of slowing down on selling, right? They're telling you a little bit slow down. Then they picked it up aggressively here. We got stopped short here. Something happens here that's, that gave me confidence, right? I think Bean was on. They were specific. I was specifically looking if we were going to absorb this right here. If we are able to crack that, I said there's a high chance. We said 71 and a quarter. If we are cracking above this, they were probably potentially just going to fly. What gives you confidence here? Is there anyone that can analyze this, with a little bit more points than completed auction or not, to make a story out of it? It really is giving you a story.
I see a poor high. I see a bullish engulfing candle and a POC that shifted up, and then the next one at the same level, and then that giant green candle.
Okay.
I would say, yeah, from the candle that you are referencing, that's 71. The next candle, you had completed auction on the top and the bottom, with a lot of the volume selling off. The next candle over, you went up. You also have another completed auction at the bottom. So with that in mind, you're showing that your completed auction is higher. You're actually moving up.
That's
the other candle is even higher, moving up with completed auction. So if you can get over the volume of that candle, then it should be clear sailing up. That's what you're talking about.
That's exactly perfectly said. That's exactly what I was talking about, right? So you had to complete an auction. Remember, completed auction means a lot. More than just, okay, we're going to switch. It means the trend down is going to stop, right? It really means it's going to reverse and try to auction in the opposite direction, right? And considering we were coming up to a weekly POC at 68, and you're making higher lows with completed auctions, and then when you zoom in a little bit, when you zoom into this, right, you have aggression right here, right? There's aggressive buyers here at the ask, right? But what about, initially, if you guys look here, when they're selling here, do you see they had a lot of selling right here, 750, there's aggression, delta spiked down, and then once you're able to absorb these guys, there's not much really holding you, right? You're probably going to go fly through this like they did, right? My initial thought was that they're going to stop here at 84, somewhere around here, that they were going to slow down. And obviously they slowed down a bit, but not much. But the idea is that you had a completed auction here, another one, higher low, higher low, higher low. Well, if you look at the delta here, do you really think this was sellers right here? Could be just people sitting at the bid. Who's the people that sit on the bid?
Passive buyers.
Passive buyers. They're just sitting and they're waiting, right? And then they waited again and they came back, and you see how they bought more. They bought more, they bought more. And then you see delta here. This is a pretty good absorption. You go from negative 3,500 to 1,000, and then you pay attention to that level, right? This is where a lot of selling occurred, where they tried to sell off again. You see the aggression right here. So if you're able to absorb this level right here, let's say this range here, I was at 71.25 at that time. If you're able to absorb that, you're gonna cause some panic.
Shorty, there's 666 sellers
Where?
right there on that candle. The aggressive sellers, 666.
Oh,
Next one.
that's the devil's number. Yeah. So now, if you look here, look exactly what they did, right? I mean, they cracked this, and look at the volume and the market orders from, I'm not gonna say who. They came in here and then they started squeezing in, right? They started buying. Then there's some short coverings. If you go on smaller time frames, I'm sure you'll find it. They initiated it, right? But then, it didn't end based on short coverings. Here's this. So look at this. They started here, right? And this is this is not a completed auction here. And then look, they re-added here, and then another pop of contracts. About 1,300 contracts went from here. So now, if you look at the, where we are right now after hours, if you're to come back to this level, there's a high chance you're going to get a bounce. And also at 83, what is the level at 83? There's something here, right here. Doesn't even know what that is.
December value area high.
Yeah, there's a December value area high, so it makes sense, right? That you might have another set of buyers coming in, right? Defending that and saying, hey, we're seeking for value much higher, right? We want to accept this value and seek more. So if we do pull back to any of this area here, it might not be a bad idea to consider, right? Scalping long or looking for long. As of right now, I'm just looking, these are different VWAPs. Once you absorb over this 92, I would prefer the 96.5 level, just because that's where, if you go here, kind of look at the data. Here's your volume nodes that you have, right? And look at this little node here that we have. Pretty decent node, but why 96.5? Doesn't even remember. Was that not in the notes as a pretty important level last night in the watch list on the market update?
One of the prior week POCs.
Yep.
That was one of the prior week's POCs, and we expected a bounce. Today, I came in a tad bit short on this somewhere to short this from the top, right? It was a really good short. So now zoom out a little bit, maybe go in 2 hours. Look how important this level is to them, 96.5. So we had resistance here, right? It was basically resistance, switched to support, that failed. It became resistance again. Then they used it as support. They failed to make higher highs. They got killed by this supply here. And now they're like, okay, well, if we can reclaim this, I don't see a reason why they won't fix the poor high. Right, we really have a strong poor high actually up top. You have like 37 and 41. 41's overnight high that hasn't been tapped, and that's unusual for the most part. So now if you look here, if you reclaim this 96, there's no reason not to, turn your bias long, because you don't really have much till about, 13. And if you look at this, data now from this week to the right, where do you expect the POC to be without looking? 1, 2, 3, 2 weeks and a couple of days. Where would you guys think based on the chart? Where's the
top?
Around the top.
It'd be around 13, probably 14. Right there, 13. That's our cumulative POC, because you're almost like in a 2-week bracket now, right? If they decide to build value here, that's actually structurally bullish, right? As long as they can reclaim 96 tomorrow, that's actually good for them. Because if you zoom out for a moment here, let me just zoom out. What kind of profile do you see here? This one right here.
Double distribution. Yeah.
This is double distribution. And what is the rule if you're playing ping pong in between? Remember? If you reclaim this level, let's say 90, high chances you're going to go to the top. Would I take the 90 personally? Probably not. I'd rather play 96 to 13 than play 92 to 96, if that makes sense. I'm not really willing to play the 4 or 5 points. That's too close for comfort, right? So we got to reclaim this. And then when you zoom in on a daily, it should give you some points, right? So let's go RTH. Look at TPA.
96 level was also the previous day low. And once I realized that we were never able to hop back inside, it was like another confluence that we were gonna go lower.
You see, what do you see there? This one right here. Fridays. Fridays low, or which one are you referring to?
Yeah, that's Fridays.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me turn on TPO. Why is it not? Sometimes you have to go on different time frames to get it. What's interesting about today?
I forget the name of it, but the opposite of unfinished business. Pretty strong reactions on both sides.
Yeah, unfair high and unfair low.
Unfair high, unfair low, yeah.
Pretty strong. Do you know what that means though?
Yeah, it's showing like aggression, very strong aggression from other level market participants.
That means somebody from other time frame buyers or sellers entered the market.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do with it.
Right now it's called negotiating process, right? The way we have it right now, it's you peaked above, right? So if you guys go through the PowerPoint, when you peak above and you peak below and you close inside, what type of day is it?
A rejection.
No, day, not auction.
The normal?
That's a typical.
Mm,
Typical?
A neutral variation.
Neutral variation, yeah. Correct. So these type of days, especially because it happened in the last period. What is the last period called when you do something? What do we have here?
Like,
Yeah, we have a late day spike here. So, let me just. So the end period is the 4:15. So as long as we open above 80, we should be somewhat bullish on the day tomorrow. Preferably 83, but see. So for me, bullish side tomorrow. What did I say? What would you guys do? Where should you guys consider being biased tomorrow?
96.
Yeah, for me it's 96, right? If you're a little bit more aggressive than me, you have some value area highs here. I just don't like that you have this access high here. I really want to see them absorb those guys, right? I don't want to play with them or against them. Once you crack this and you show me your hand that you can take these sellers out, then I'll hop in long. If you do lose this POC, I would say at 80.75, there's probably a high chance that you're going to retest, right? All the way somewhere at 70 or so. You have some, I would say, poor structure here. Not really that bad, but there's some poor structure sitting at 73. It is a two-way negotiating process that's going to start. A really strong bias starts above the 13 level, 13, 14 level. If they're able to crack that, then I would say above 13, you're going to clean up that poor high, the weekly poor high at 41. As of right now, I would say the bears are in control, but other time frame buyers stepped in, and that's shown on the bottom here. Right, you guys can tell that they came in here, they absorbed them, and now they had this massive candle at 3:30, which has to be confirmed tomorrow. Why does it have to be confirmed tomorrow?
The last period of the day.
If you had to explain it to a 12-year-old, if you told them last period of the day, what would he or she say? Probably, I don't know.
Because it was the end of the day, we couldn't validate it to see if it was a true spike. So we have to wait till tomorrow when there's more time to see if if it's a true spike.
Yeah, we get to see if the next period is going to validate that, or is it going to auction back and look for value? If we open above the spike, what does it mean?
It's
That it
validated.
was a true, yeah.
Confirmed.
It was a true spike. If you open where the spike started, where it ended, right? That's still somewhat bullish, neutral bullish. But if you open below the spike, that's a problem, right? At that point, you're leaning bearish, and most likely they're going to reverse all of that, right? So personally, I would look, if we lose this 81, I'd consider a little bit more bearish bias, and that would be right below this volume node as well. So I'll feel more confident shorting below the POC here for the day. Tomorrow's open and where we open is probably fairly important for the rest of the week. If we open above the previous day value area and, let's say we have some sort of gap up, right? And they don't look back to fix this spike, most likely you're going to run to 13, 14. Then you have this 23 that we had, the bullish bias that was above that we are looking for. And if you guys looked at this data somewhat, in ETH, what happened? Does anyone remember what was our bias and what we wanted to see last night or for trading today? Do you guys recall what we said? Why was 27 there?
To look above and fill the single print.
Isn't that what we asked for?
Yeah, but it happened at like 5 in the morning.
I know it happens, right? I mean, and what's the piece about market profile and opportunity? It's time and opportunity, right? So that's the market, right? But it did, the setup did exactly what we needed it to do. Unfortunately, they did it when most normal people sleep, right? You don't trade overnight like that, at least I don't. But they did a really good job, right? They had a spike, but before I went to bed, did anyone catch a message that I wrote for you guys last night? At 8:13, once they reclaimed that, I wrote that most likely it looks like they want to run this. And they took that, completely. They ran it up and, they hit 27. And the idea behind 27 was they had to be quick and aggressive. Why is that? Let me bring on the regular hours so you guys can see it. Why did they have to be quick here and to go above 27? Being you covered it last night.
Because of the
Well,
single
the
print?
range, yeah, the range was a single print from the prior day, which is I forgot what they called, a spike or something. So we had to open above that to continue the run up.
Open above it or run through it, meaning do not show weakness inside of this, right? Yeah. And when you go on ETH, that's pretty much what they did. What Josh mentioned is you come in here, and if you're a pattern trader, you have a doji candle here, and then they have a massive candle down, even though the volume is still kind of flat after hours. But there's a few things that lined up in that case, right? You had the single prints and this. If you're awake at 520, it would have worked. And then if you come to the open here, the second level that we had as the most important level was 96.25. In the notes, I added for some people that, I've noticed some people take profits much quicker. So I added 2 levels in between so you guys can have something to take that, right? It was 06 and 03. And then 96.25 was mentioned actually in the notes. So that was the level I was watching, and they came back here at 1 o'clock and they rejected nicely. So now if they, tomorrow, if they open below, let's say 81, which is the POC on the RTH, you should be, cautious initiating a lot of long, especially if you come on, if we come on the bottom and you see a lot of completed auctions, let's say on 15-minute candles at the top. And if you pay attention to the volume on those candles, if a lot of selling volume and delta is happening on the P shapes at the top, that means that the profits are being taken. Right? If you don't see a lot of negative delta on a P shape and profits are not being taken, most likely that P is going to continue. They're going to break the top and continue higher. So that's how I look at the candles as we come to the footprints to make sure Where's the inventory? Who's selling? Who's buying? Is it aggressive or not? And that's kind of what helped us today at this level, right? I don't think the bulls are still out of the water, but I don't think the bears are winning much. When you look at this chart here, on weekly, the 96.25 is important. Why? Let's see who paid attention yesterday. Because I gave you the same exact view yesterday. This is weekly candles. Why is 96.25 important?
That was that cumulative POC, right?
Mm-mm. Anyone else?
Is it December value area high?
Mm-mm. That's 83.
Oh.
Okay. When the candle's making higher highs, right? This is weekly, right? I would say that this candle made a higher high. Let me delete this, right? So this candle made higher high here, but this candle made lower high. But did this candle make a lower low? So far, it did. What is the lowest low that we have here? Is it that one? 96.75 or sorry, I kept saying 25, but it's 75. What does this mean in terms of your structure?
A little bit of a reversal.
How many times so far since from here, how many lower lows on weekly did you have from, let's say, October?
None.
None. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. This is your first lower low on
Change
a
of gear.
weekly since October, right? So right now, if you look at change of character that you mentioned on the weekly so far, you can't consider it done because we haven't closed below it. If you look at the daily, right, on daily standpoint, so you had, lower low was here, 96.75, and then you cracked below that. And now, right, this is, are you going to continue or not, right? So 65.25 being the low, are you going to continue making lower lows? Where's your structural change of character here? Who knows? Not single candle, but where's your lower low? Like, where would you consider the change of character? Not break of structure, but where is it changing?
Below 720.
Let's look at this. So if you guys go here, I'll go here. What about these? If this is your higher lows on the blue right here, which is a major, right? And if you go on a daily, wouldn't that be somewhere around here, right here?
Yes, yes.
So for me, if you're able to clean this up, you're really changing the character at that point, because then, you had higher highs here. This would be the higher low that you got to take out. Once you take this higher low, then you're potentially starting to change the character on a bigger picture, right? Right now, you put in some lower highs and lower lows, but that doesn't mean the bearish trend is starting. If you're able to take this out, well, that's a little bit bigger, right? And if you kind of zoom in a little bit, it makes sense, right? Because this was a previous high that was sitting right there at 33. This one's at 44. That would be a pretty good reversal starting. And then to find where potentially you can catch the top, guess what? It would be somewhere around 46.18. That's where a majority of the volume was for this run up. And once they come back to this level here, a lot of people that did not short here, what do you think they're going to do here?
Be late to the party.
You're going to be late to a party. They're going to start shorting a dual tape, basically shorting in a hole, because these people are going to start doing what? Here.
Going long.
Buying.
People that shorted at the top
Selling.
are going to be buying to cover, and people that shorted, they're going to short, but these people are going to be buying up their inventory. And once they hit a level, if they're weak sellers, what's going to happen to them? You get a short cover rally, and most likely you get the top. Right. So I'll definitely watch bigger level on this, but just know why I said 96.75. It's the weekly framing down. Because on daily, is the daily framing up or down now?
Down.
Down. Weekly so far, the week's not over, it's framing down. Right. Then you look at the monthly. well, monthly still, framing up, right? That's pretty strong. It's still framing up. So for us to do framing down, where does the monthly have to go below?
In that green line?
Yeah, right here, 4,600. Once they crack that, then the monthly's framing down, and then everything else will fall in place. Okay, so hopefully that clears up for most of you. Why? Okay. Any questions for me on this chart?
I'm Shorty. I just have a question on when you were talking about like spikes. I know that you've covered like spiking above the value area high within like the last 30 minutes of the day and closing above, but you're mentioning spikes now in regards to just TPOs. I guess you're just talking about big moves like within the last 30-minute period.
That's correct. And the reason why is that where were we before the 330 in terms of value?
Okay, we were below, and then in the last 30 minutes we closed within.
Yeah, so we spiked back inside the value.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Either spike outside or back inside. That's what you're looking for. Okay. And it's mainly because you don't have another period to tell you if that auction is going to reverse that or not. Okay, so for me, 96, if we crack 96, I would expect that we're going to hit this 14-13 level. And then ultimately, if you go over this level here, you're going to be hitting the 24 level, hopefully an RTH session, which would be potentially a good short level here. At least I'd be interested in between 14 and 13 taking a stab. If they look above and they fail, that would be a really good short here. And if depending on where we open up and how the auction goes, if I see any slowing down here and they break it above and then they lose it, that's an easy short. But if I see that they're picking up steam and the delta's being aggressive and they crack through this, then I might look for a retest to go long off of 14-13 and then take it above. And if they are able to create some buzz here, right, and momentum, I would not be surprised if they clean this up by the end of the week here. Their goal is to auction about 13 now, 14, this low range. If they can, they're going to target this for this week, right here. Right there. Oh, I'm sorry, it'd be poor high. If they get up to that level, they're going to fix this poor high. Okay.
There's a VPOC at 19 as well.
This one here.
Fridays.
On volume profile.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep. Yep. VPOC and previous week value area low. I mean, this area is pretty stacked if you look at it. You have a bunch of value area lows, value area highs, then you have a VPOC here. And I would think that they didn't really fix anything during the regular session on these single prints. They still have to absorb this. They tried gapping over it, right? And they got punished, right? Somebody was sitting there and brought it back down. So they still have to absorb this, right? They have to auction about 23, clean up 27, come back here, and then we go higher. So there's multiple ways to play this, right? I'm just looking what's the best setups that I can take to have a little bit of space, right? So for me, if you crack this, 13 is pretty good, right? That's for about 17 points. That pays pretty well. And then I don't know if I'll be interested, taking too much here, but if they can go above 13 and the POC cumulatively stays in that range, then I would look for a long and potentially drive that to the upper side of this range. Okay. Yeah, so today's profile definitely a B shape. So if the sellers don't step in tomorrow, they might be in trouble because this is going to go to the top rather quickly. Sellers need to clean this up, and then you guys know below 67, there's really not much stopping it, right? They have a little bit of here, right? At 4,700, but not much. Most likely goes to 4,700 rather quickly, and I think that's December's. Where is December's value area low? Yeah, it would be not much topping until about, what is this, 45, call it 60. 45, 60 something, 65, 45, 65. We're borderline there, so, and we're right at December value area high. And you see the structure here is bunch of epochs too. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you don't have any questions, if you do, ping me or just ask in the chat.
Thank you, Shorty. Have a good night.
Good night, Shorty. Thank you. Night, everybody.